All right, welcome everybody to a Game Changer tutorial, one of many. I was having trouble finding on YouTube a tutorial that actually shows a live game happening and it being scored in real time, which I feel like is the best way to learn. So I thought I would make this. We've got video here today from the first game of our last spring season in a Little League Majors division. So, being the first game of the season, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, which is good for us learning how to scorekeep. A lot of errors, a lot of kind of sloppiness, which is usually where we get tripped up. So, it should be fun to kind of go through. So, we'll score a couple innings and we'll kind of pause the video as we go and talk through some hypotheticals. Well, what if this would have happened? What if that would have happened? But we'll just kind of start from the beginning. So, you've raised your hand to scorekeep for your baseball team. Congratulations, you fool. First thing you're going to do when you get to that field and the kids are warming up, go ahead and open up that green GameChanger app. As I was editing this video, I realized that I should invite you to score this along with me as I kind of show you how things work. There's a really cool feature within GameChanger where you can score practice games, and you don't have to have an actual game scheduled. You can practice your scoring. So what you want to do is just go to your team's page, and then you are going to have to be set as a scorekeeper for your team in order to have this feature available, I believe. So if you go to team and staff, you are going to need somebody on the staff of your team to enable you as a scorekeeper. So they would go to team, staff, and then you see this down here. It says scorekeepers. If I tap on that, scorekeepers, and then it pulls up this all confirmed members, only selected members. If I tap on this only selected members, then it just shows me everybody who follows this team, and I can just enable them as scorekeepers. Once that's done, anybody who's enabled there can do this. But what you want to do is hit this little settings gear up at the top right corner, and it brings up this little menu. And you'll see 4 options down there. It says practice scoring a game. Hit that, and it will just bring you to the top of the first, and it just has a bunch of random generic names in here. I like to just think of names, that they probably have at first base. You probably have Daxton Thompson there. At second, you probably have Craxton Yang, Traxton Smith at shortstop, Jackson Roberts. These are all great baseball names. If you're expecting, definitely go with an X and a ton at the end, and your kid will be playing D1 college. Anyways, I go on too long. So I would invite you to have this open. You won't have to do the lineup setting or anything, but once we actually start scoring the game, I would invite you to score along with me in this practice mode. It'll just really help you kind of do it on your own, as well as have somebody kind of walking you through how they're scoring at the same time. So back to the show. You'll see that a lot of times, if you have a game that day, that game will just be right there at the top of your screen on GameChanger. But let's say it's not. You just navigate down to that team that you're scoring that day, and then find the game on the schedule there. So if you tap on that game, it pulls up the details of that game. Now, your coach will probably have already set a starting lineup for the day, but some coaches are old school and they're going to hand you a piece of paper with their lineup and ask you to put it in. So let's go ahead and do that part. So you'll see here there's just this set starting lineup button in the middle, so we can go ahead and just hit that. Luckily, since this one of these teams was my team, the Sasquatch, long live the Sasquatch, I have the lineup from this day. Spoiler alert, you see the final score there. It's like kissing your sister. Anyways, let's go ahead and put this lineup in. So leading off, I'm just going to hit add players right here. And then all I have to do is select the players in the order I want them to bat. And it will sort it out for me. So looks like I have got number 19 leading off, followed by number 10. And then we have number 14. We have number 11, then number 4. Then we have number 21 and number 18. Then we've got number 9, 6, 2, and 1. So 9, 6, 2, and 1. My main man, Nolan, number 44, broke his wrist playing tackle football at the beginning of the season. So lost one of our top pitchers right out the gate. What are you going to do? All right, so hit done, and you'll see now that they've all been brought in the order that I selected them. So it's great. I don't have to do anything else. If I did make a mistake and I put somebody in the wrong order, all you've got to do is these 3 little bars, on the side. If you just touch it, you can sort of drag it up or down, however, wherever you need to put them, and you can rearrange it that way. Then you can go ahead and put in your positions. The most important ones for you to put in are going to be pitcher and catcher, but mainly pitcher. And that's because we need to keep track of pitch counts. Every league anywhere is going to have pitch count rules. So you just want to make sure that you're on top of that. So, other positions, not a huge deal. If you're wanting to keep good track of, defensive stats and those sorts of things, you may want to stay on top of it for your team. But just make sure that the pitcher is always correct. If there's a pitching change, make sure that you enter that, and we'll talk about how to do that in the middle of a game later. But since I do have these positions here, I can go ahead and put those in. So we've got catcher, then Griffin is center field. Then we have first base. And you see I'm just tapping on that little position that's to the right of their name, and that just lets me enter in where they're going to be playing that day. That EH just stands for extra hitter. Starting at pitcher there. And looks like left field. And then Hall was at shortstop. Lewis at third. Turner was at second base here. We had Leo in right field. And then, let's see, it shows center field and left field. I already have a center field and left fielder here. I'm not sure who started where. I don't like to put kids that are at the bottom of the order on the bench on defense for the first inning. Doesn't feel very fair or developmental, but it's just the way it shows here because I'm just entering from the top down. So we'll go ahead and just hit save here at the top. And our starting lineup is all set there, so I can go ahead and now tap score game. All right, now we're in the interface. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up so you can see where I'm tapping. So this is our interface that we'll use to score the game. As you can see, the Sasquatch are the away team, so they're going to be hitting first. You can see there at the top up here, at bat. I tapped it, but at bat is number 19 from our team. What you're going to want to do before the game begins, hopefully, they've got this really nifty tool where if I just tap, you can see on the bottom here, I don't know why that went away. You can see on the bottom here, there's this opponent tab. If I tap that, it brings up this interface. And the nifty thing is there's this scan opponent lineup tool, which if I hit that, what happens is it brings up my camera. A dirty keyboard, that's disgusting. I'm going to blur that out when I finish this video. What that is if I go, let's say I go to my team, I tap my team here. You see I've got this tab here that says share your team lineup. If I tap on that, it pulls up this QR code. And so when the other person is on scan lineup, their camera comes up and they scan that QR code and everything just comes in automatically. Their lineup just pops in, which is great. This isn't happening in real time right now, so I do not have that other team's lineup. That's okay. Sometimes you won't get that before the game starts. That's all right. You can enter those players in just by number as they come up to bat. But you also want to make sure, I'm just going to tap on score here. You want to make sure, though, that you have their pitcher set before they start throwing. Again, focusing on those pitch counts. So I will just tap in order to do that. I just tap that position, right? So I just tap that P. Looks like I already put this in here. I don't know why these player ABC things are in here. But you can just hit this create player and then you could just put them in by jersey number. I happen to know that the starting pitcher was number 96. So I can do that and just hit add player. The other information is not important. Looks like I already had created that number 96. So I've got the pitcher in there, which is all I need. If you want to really try to eyeball the whole field and put everybody in position, that's fine. It's just not really particularly necessary for your purposes. Okay, so we're set to start scoring this game. So I'll go ahead and fire this video off, and I'm just going to talk through how we score this game. Before we do, let's just look at a few of the things that we have before the game starts. On the bottom, you'll see these buttons: ball, called strike, swing and miss, foul ball, and ball in play. Those are kind of your quick access buttons. That's going to be most pitches in the game, or you're going to be using those buttons. All right. If something more complex happens on a pitch, you can just tap this baseball in the middle that's blinking, pitch, and it pulls up this little menu. It gives us those first 5 options that we have, those quick buttons on the bottom, but it also gives us some other options: hit by pitch, intentional ball, intentional walk, catcher's interference. That's if the hitter's bat hits the catcher's glove or any part of the catcher, their equipment. That's catcher's interference, and they get to go to first base. Or illegal pitch. A lot of times, depending on the division you're in, they may call an illegal pitch. For example, in Little League Majors, they don't call balks. It's just not part of the game because there's no leadoffs. But maybe a pitcher didn't come set, so they maybe will call an illegal pitch there. Batter out other, that would just be an odd rule situation, an ejection, I don't know. But you can go ahead and do that. Put on base, I don't know. Another, if something weird happens where they get on base, not based on a walk or a hit, for whatever reason, I don't know why that would happen, but you have that option. So let's go back, and we're going to learn all the features as we score this game. So let's start the video. Let's scrub through the warm-ups here. All right, I think this is our leadoff batter, number 19 here. So let's go ahead and start this game. And one thing I will say is when these games are happening, don't have your head buried in your phone, just because you'll miss things, right? It's so easy to just tap the input after it happens. Looks like that's low. I'll just hit that ball button on the bottom, and you see that it updates the count right there at the top. I don't have to do anything but tap that button. All right, gave him that strike on the outside. That was a called strike because he didn't swing. And like I said, I'm watching the game. All right, so he hit a grounder. It got past the second baseman, and it also got past the center fielder, which allowed him to advance to second. So I think this is a good time for me to pause the video and just talk about my approach when the ball is put in play. A lot of stuff happens, and until that pitcher has the ball back in their possession and is on the mound, that play is not over until that happens. So I am not in my game changer looking at entering anything in until I'm at that point, okay? I'm just kind of watching and I'm mentally logging what happened, okay? Like I kind of narrated it as it happened. Ground ball, got past second base, went into the outfielder. The center fielder came over, did not field it cleanly, got behind that center fielder, which allowed the runner to make it to second base, okay? So in my mind, I'm going to score that as an error on the second baseman, and then which allowed the runner to get to first, and then an error on the center fielder actually allowed the runner to advance to second. When scoring errors, the definition is an error is when a player makes a mistake on what would be what should have been an out with ordinary effort. Now that's kind of subject to interpretation, but in my mind, I look at Little League Baseball and I think if it's a routine play that a kid should be able to make, in practice or whatever, then I'll score that as an error. Now, if the runner beats out a throw from the third baseman, but the third baseman fielded it cleanly and maybe just didn't have the arm to get it there in time, I'm not going to score that as an error. I'm going to call that an infield single. The fielder didn't make a mistake. It just wasn't a routine play that should be made with ordinary effort. So that's the way to think about it. So let's go back real quick and let's just watch this hit one more time, since this is the first ball in play that we're scoring here. I don't know if this is the pitch or not. That's this next pitch. All right, ground ball. Actually, now that I rewatch it, that was not an ordinary effort play for the second baseman. They dove for that, so I misremembered it. And you will make those mistakes, but just try to only score an error in these Little League games if it's an obvious mistake. So here's how I'm going to score that, all right? I'm going to hit this ball and play button at the bottom, and it brings up this little menu. All right, that was a ground ball, and I'm going to call it a ground ball single because, it wasn't a routine play for that second baseman. And then it brings up these positions here with the little gloves. What you want to do here is just tap the position that first was able to get to the ball, all right? I know the pitcher made an effort for that grounder, the second baseman made an effort for that grounder, but we're talking about players that had the ball in their possession on this play, all right? So I believe what happened was it rolled through to the center fielder, all right, and then it puts our runner at first. Well, we know that the runner actually advanced to second, so we will manually, what we do is we just hold our finger or thumb down on that batter and start to move it, and it brings this up, all right? And then I can move that to any base, and then I can hover it over either safe or out, depending on what happened there. So I'll put him safe here at second, and it's going to then pull up this menu that asks me, well, how did they get there safely? And I'm going to say it's going to be either a stolen base, defensive indifference, which is if the defense didn't even try to throw them out there, on a throw, which would be if the defense was throwing the ball to try to make an out elsewhere and they took advantage and advanced a base. Throwing error, which is, if they made a throw that would have been in time to tag them out, but it was a poor throw, or a fielding error. What happened was, in my opinion, he wouldn't have been able to make it to second if the center fielder had fielded that ball cleanly. So I'm going to choose a fielding error, and I'm going to put that on the center fielder. All right, I just tap that center fielder, and that's how it will score it. Now I'm totally up to speed here. I know that felt like a lot because we talked through every little part of it, but after a few games of scoring, those menus, the way they pop up, will be really intuitive. So let's get this next batter up. Swing and a miss. Just hit that button at the bottom, and the count updates. And again, I'm just keeping my eyes on the game and only looking down. All right, looks like that was a foul ball. I'm only looking down when I need to enter something. And I'm waiting for plays to complete before I look down at my app and begin entering. Swing and a miss. Okay, so I'm going to pause right now just because I'm going to go a little slower to describe everything that I'm putting in. Yeah, so we had the swing and a miss, right? So we're just going to tap that. And then we know that our runner advanced from second to third. So we're going to hold our finger or thumb down on that runner and bring them over to third. All right, well, let's just put them safe there at third. All right. We could call it, you got these options here, right? Stole base. Well, it wasn't really a clean steal because it wasn't fielded cleanly by that catcher. Defensive indifference, no, because the catcher did make a throw there. Wild pitch, no, it's good pitch. Pass ball or fielding error. Well, because that ball wasn't caught at third base, I don't know if that's the reason they were safe or not. So I'm going to call this a fielding error, and then it brings up all of those positions again. Now I just have to decide, was it because it was a bad throw by the catcher or because it should have been caught and wasn't by third base? Just based on my recollection right now, again, you don't have to be perfect. It's sort of a judgment call. I'm going to say that ball should have been caught by the third baseman. So I'll put that on the third baseman there. You may think about putting it on the catcher since the catcher did not field it cleanly. And that's sort of the reason that they advanced. That would be fine too. It's really kind of your judgment. And then we know that the runner made it home safely. So I'm just going to hold that runner down with my thumb or finger and bring him home and safe at home. And then it's going to ask how that happened. I'm going to say it was on the same error. All right, it was that same mistake that allowed him to score. All right, so now that he has scored, you can see at the top there, there's a scoreboard right under where the inning and count and outs and everything is. So you don't have to worry. I know you're called the scorekeeper, but you don't actually have to track how many runs scored. It just automatically updates that for you as the game goes on. So that's all good, and we are ready to continue. We're ready to continue. It looks like that. Yep, that batter was out on that swing and miss. Interestingly enough, that batter should have run to first base because that ball was not fielded cleanly. But once they get back in the dugout, their opportunity to take advantage of that is over. So the game continues. All right, so we got number 14 coming up now, and I'm just watching the game. All right, ball. You can kind of assume, unless the umpire makes a demonstrative strike call, that they're calling it a ball. They don't always call ball. But you see that strike. He's calling that a strike very clearly. So if you don't see that clear strike call and you're not so sure, it's probably a ball. All right, so that's a ball outside. Another ball. Now, while that was you could score it as a pass ball or wild pitch, it really doesn't matter because there's no runners on, so we don't have to worry about that. We only score that if it has an effect with the runners. All right, didn't give him that outside corner there, so that was another ball. And you see that once I hit ball 4, it automatically just moves that runner over to first for me. So I don't have to worry about entering anything but what happened on that pitch. All right, it's a ball. And before you look down and start to enter what happened on the pitch, you know, watch those runners, make sure there's nothing happening that you're maybe going to miss. Nice block there by the catcher on ball 2. Gave him that strike on the outside. Love to see it. This is Little League. Let's get the kids swinging. Alright, that one's bouncing low and away. Ball 3. Whoo! Ball on the inside. If I'm behind the plate there, I'm probably calling a strike. Keep that at bat going. Especially first game of the season. I'm calling a big zone, but hey, it's not my zone. All right, and you see how it just moved those runners over for me. All right, that's ball 1 there. All right, ground ball to the second baseman. Missed by the first baseman. I'm not looking at my GameChanger app right now. All right, now the pitcher's got the ball back in his hand, and he's on the mound. All right, so let's just repeat what we saw as we enter it in here. Ball in play. Ground ball. I'm not going to call it a single because I think that was an error. That play should have been made there. So I'm going to call it an error. It went, and now I'm just going to tap where the ball went on that play. So it went to the second baseman, and the second baseman threw it to the first baseman. And that's about all that happened there. And then it went back to the pitcher. Done. All right, now it's asking me, who committed the error? Well, based on what I saw right there, the second baseman fielded it cleanly, threw it. It was a little low, but that's a ball that I think with ordinary effort should have been caught by the first baseman. So I'm going to put that on the first baseman, okay? And we now know that those runners advanced, right? Number 4 that hit the ball is now on second. So I'm going to bring this one home and safe. I'm going to say on the last play. All right, I'm going to bring number 11 over here, safe, on the last play, right? It all happened on the same play. And then I'm going to bring this runner over here, safe. And it's going to ask me, was this on the same error? And I'm going to say, yes, it was, because that throw was missed is why he advanced to second. So now I'm good to go. I don't have to do anything else. And we can see that that score has updated. With every runner that is safe at home, those runs are added automatically. I don't have to worry about that. Again, I know it feels like I'm cheating because I'm pausing it and describing it, but it's because I'm describing it. It would be much easier. Another ball. I was a little late entering in that first ball. I got distracted by some technical issues here. And you're going to get distracted by your... that was a swing and a miss. No runners advanced, so I don't have to score that pass ball. Yeah, you're gonna get distracted by, you know, your toddler asking for a snack, or, you know, a hot air balloon floating by, whatever. Just all right, gave him that low strike there. All right, didn't give it to him. That's another ball. Full count here. Foul ball. Just tap foul ball. Even if the play doesn't have a result that affects the game, make sure you enter those, because that's how that pitcher's pitch count stays up to date. So make sure that you're just entering what happens on every single pitch. Ball 4. And you see it just moves him right over, and we don't have to do anything but just get our eyes back on the game, ready to watch this next batter. Okay, runner didn't go, so that is just a ball. On strike. Middle looked good. All right. Didn't field it cleanly, but nobody moved. So that is just a ball and nothing more. Another ball outside. Bounced it in there, ball 4. And again, you see it just moves those runners over, and the score updates automatically. I don't have to do anything. I can just put my eyes back on that game. All right, looks like we have a little mound visit here, so let's just fast forward through this. Little encouragement. Get the boy's head right. Tell him a little joke. Get up in that box. Yep. This is more a coaching thing, but, you know, if you're standing more up in that box, the inside pitch looks inside. But if you're up against the... nice swing and a miss, going for it there. I love when umpires call that zone, you know. Got to get these kids swinging. That's my goal at these ages. It's a side note. That has nothing to do with you and keeping score. Rung him up on the called strike 3. It's a little low, but I've got no problem with it, right? We're trying to encourage kids to get in there and be aggressive. And you'll see that the out updated. The player kind of spins away and vanishes there. All right, called strike there. So really all we have to do is enter what happened on that pitch, and our job is done. Swing and a miss. Ball inside.
1-2.
All ball.
Yeah, I'd have to concentrate on that one.
Swing and a miss now. Oh, it looks like he called that a foul. Must have got a piece of it. All right. Nice. Put it right in the gap there. All right, I'm just watching. I'm not entering anything right here. Called him safe at second. Okay. Pause this real quick and enter that in. All right, we had a ball in play. Let's call that a fly ball. I can't remember who got to it first. I think the left fielder got to it first. We'll call it a double to the left fielder. All right. Safe at home. Safe at home. Right. We know that they were both safe because the ball never came home. So we just enter that in as they come in. And that's really all we have to do. There was no error there. Just a nice hit to the gap. And he used his wheels to get there to second before the throw made it. So pretty straightforward. And you notice the score updates, everything. It's pretty easy for us. All right, here comes my main man, Reese. Swing and a miss. Gotta love the guy going first pitch, trying to do some damage. You'd love to see it. Ooh, that was the pitch right there. Called strike. All right. Swing and a miss. Catcher made the tag there, so I'm not even going to worry about the dropped third there. I'm just going to go swing and a miss. And once we get to 3 outs, it shows us this little menu here. It says, all right, it's the middle of the first. Gives you a little summary there. 5 runs on 2 hits, 3 errors on 42 pitches. It's going to ask you to accept and switch. All right. The only other option is cancel, which is if something else happened. So kind of keep your eyes on it. If a coach comes out, if something weird went down and a coach is out there talking to the umpire, maybe wait to see how that shakes out before you hit accept and switch. It'll just make it easier than trying to go back and fix it later. Like, let's say for some reason, I don't know. Let's say a coach comes out and says, "Hey, that was actually catcher's interference. His bat hit the catcher's glove." You know, he's out there talking to the umpire, and the umpire goes, all right, I didn't see it, but let me ask my field umpire. I'll see if they saw something." And they go and talk about it, and they go, "Oh, yeah, it absolutely was. You're right." And they put him on first base. Well, now that inning continues, right? Even though I already entered in that swinging strike 3, I'm going to hit cancel. All right. And it's just going to take away, it's going to undo that last thing that I entered. So I'm still on that 0-2 count. And then what I would enter is catcher's interference there. All right. And then that would put him on, and that inning would continue, just normally keeping score. I'm going to undo that because we know that that's not what happened. I'm going to enter that swing and miss, and then it brings up that accept and switch. So just, I would say, make sure that everything is settled and that there's no funny business going on between coaches and umpires that might keep that inning going before you hit that accept and switch. All right, so we went ahead and accepted and switched that inning over. And now I want to talk to you real quick about what to do if you did not get the lineup ahead of time, scanning that in from the other team or whatever. It's not a big deal. It's pretty easy to just put players in by their number as you go. So I paused it here. You can see we got 21 coming up. So all I have to do is there's this set batter blue button at the top right there. If I just tap on that, I've already kind of entered a few things in here. But let's say I didn't have 21 there as an option. I can just go down and hit Create Player, and it brings up this menu. Don't worry about anything but the number. Just put in the number 21, add player. I've already added a number 21, but that'll basically just add that player to the lineup and you're ready to go. And we'll just do that as players come up. We will just add them to the lineup. It shouldn't be a big deal. You should have enough time there while the kids are getting ready and stepping into the box to just enter that in real quick. But it is a little bit of an added stress. So if you can, I always recommend trying to scan in that lineup from your opponent's scorekeeper before the game starts. All right, let's get this going. So we got 21 up to bat, and I'm just watching the game, ready to score these pitches, and whatever happens as it happens. Looks like a foul ball. Ball high. Nice hit. And I'm just watching the play, right? I'm not scoring it until that pitcher's got the ball back. Okay, so that was just a nice ball in play, a line drive single, and then I just hit the left fielder. That's who the ball went to, so I hit that left fielder, and then I'm ready for the next pitch here. All right, looks like he's stealing. All right, so that was a ball. Oh, I'm going to pause this. All right, so with that play happening and with me not having the lineup in there, you can get a little bit behind because I went to just enter that pitch in and realized that I hadn't set the batter, right? And so, it's one of those things. Just try to catch up if you can, when you can. But those things will happen. Another good reason to just make sure to get that lineup before the game begins. Let me set this batter. This is number 42. I know that from having seen this game. All right, so now I can plug that in, and all I need to do is go. That was a ball, and then I just hold my finger over this runner, bring him over to second base, and I'm gonna just hover them over safe. They made it safely there. Stole the base. And that's it. Don't have to do anything else, but just continue scoring here. All right, so that was a swing and a miss, and then we had our runner try to steal, but was thrown out. It'll ask me how. Caught stealing, and I will go. It was the catcher to the third baseman. Done, and I'm watching the next pitch. Looks like that was a ball high and in. Ball outside. I always like to keep an eye on when the umpire calls out the count, because sometimes they'll have something different than me. If I'm paying really close attention, I might. That was a called strike. If I'm paying really close attention, I might give my coach's attention and let them know I've got something different. But more than likely, I miss something, and I will just add that strike or that ball. That's a swing and a miss, and it sends them packing. All right, let me set the next batter. This is number 96, which I had already created, but I showed you how to create that if you hadn't. As I was saying, more often than not, I will just... gave him the strike outside. More often than not, I will assume that I made a mistake, and I'll just enter the balls or strikes or whatever to catch me up to whatever count the umpire has. Foul ball.
The guy who was like asking me all the questions.
Foul ball.
I just feel bad. I'm like, everybody's asking questions. I'm not trying to be mean if I am.
Another foul ball. Spoiler alert, this at-bat's going to go on a while. This kid, he is a heck of a ball player. He is not going to go down without a fight here. I don't remember who wins this at-bat, but another foul ball.
Right on it.
Another foul ball.
Right on it. Right on it. Right on it.
All right. Gave him the strike high. Early season Little League. It's clear this umpire wants these kids swinging. What are you going to do? All right, and I've got my accept and switch option here again. But instead of just accepting that and switching, let's go through a few hypotheticals, things that might come up during a game that might not in this game that we're watching. So I'm going to cancel that. And which brings my batter back up to the plate. And let's just put him on base. Let's put him on base with a hit by pitch. All right, so now we have this runner at first base. Now, this is Little League majors, so there are no leadoffs, and thus there are no pickoffs, no balks. That's just not part of the game for this league. But a lot of you watching this video may be scorekeeping and likely are scorekeeping in a league that has those things. So let's just talk about that a little bit. Pickoff attempts. When that pickoff attempt is made, just hover or just hold your thumb or finger down over that runner and just put them safer out wherever whatever happened on that pickoff. So unsuccessful pickoff attempt, safe, attempted pickoff. That's all that is. And if they're out, picked off, right? I'm going to cancel that since we want to keep looking at this. All right, let's talk about a balk. Oh, I need to set another batter. So let's just say that this is, next batter is number 99. All right, let's see if on the pitch. Yeah, so it's on the pitch menu, all right? So if your pitcher balks, go into that pitch menu and balk, and it'll just send those runners over automatically for you. No big deal. Okay, this is something that might happen to you, which is my least favorite thing that happens to me when scorekeeping, and that is you look up and you realize that the kid who's batting is not the kid that your GameChanger app shows should be batting. Different things can occur in the course of a game. For example, in Little League, a kid could sit out an at-bat if he's hurting and he can come back into the lineup. That's part of the rules. So it could just be something that you miss and you realize that the batters are out of order. At that point, you're thinking, I don't know how long I've been off or whatever. Just try to catch up to where you are right now as best you can. So what you can do is you just hit the opponent tab on the bottom there, the little jersey in the middle. It'll bring you back to their lineup. You can see here I've only got 4 batters in this lineup because I was adding them as they came up to bat. But if I go, oh, that's not number 99 there, it's number 88. So I'm going to create that player, add them, and go, all right, I was wrong. So I just drag them. I just grab those little 3 bars on the right-hand side, and I just drag them up into the hitter spot. If you just drag somebody into that hitter spot, it then makes them the hitter, and it applies whatever the count is at the time, whatever's going on. It just makes them the batter. So all of that would then apply to them. For stat nerds, I don't know if the person that you had in there shows 2 strikes, earned 2 strikes, and then you switch them out for somebody else. I think it just charges that to whoever you put in there at the time. I think you'd have to actually do a sub here. If you actually tapped on the batter at the top, you could sub out, and then the stats would actually apply as if one kid started the at-bat and somebody else came in. But if you do it from this roster side of things by hitting this opponent and then switching them out there, it'll just assume that it was that batter the whole time and you're just fixing a mistake. So that's an easy way to fix your batting order being incorrect or anything like that. Once you get to the bottom of a batting order, it does ask you kind of have to skip back to the top of the order. So let's just say, let's just put this batter on as a hit by pitch. I've got another batter. Let's just for the sake of it, let's just say this, they're mowing him down, all right? So if I go to set batter, but it's back to the top of the order, it's back to the first kid who came up. Okay, so it does force you to have at least 6 batters in a lineup, which makes sense. That's an infield. There's no way that you could play a baseball game with less than 6 players. And most leagues have rules against you playing with fewer than 8 players. So when you go to set the next batter, once you get to that bottom of the order, you can see here at the bottom, it says add a 7th batter or return to the top of the lineup. You just hit return to the top of the lineup, and then that lineup is locked in. Most leagues, once the batting order gets back to the top of the lineup, that's kind of locked in for the game. But some leagues do allow players to come in late and join. I think they just need to be added to the bottom of the order. Check with your local league about that. But hey, that's about it. And you can kind of hunt around in here and play with different things, but it's fairly intuitive. There's a few little things hidden in there, but all in all, I would say, don't stress about it. There's a lot of grace for, especially early in a season, of making mistakes as a scorekeeper. Just do your best, and after a few games, you'll really have it down pretty well. Just watch the game, try to log in your mind what you saw happening, and then just plug it in once that play comes to an end. If you start plugging in too early, other things happen. The ball starts getting thrown around and missed, and different things occur. So just keep your eyes on the game, and just try to keep mental notes of what you saw. And if you don't enter it in perfectly, that's fine. Like I said at the beginning, you hope that the score is correct, right? And then you're also just really want to make sure that those pitch counts, that you're logging every single pitch that happens. Whether or not you log correctly the result of that pitch is less important than making sure that we keep our kids' arms healthy and safe with accurate pitch counts. That way you can inform your coaches when those pitch counts are approaching the limits, and your leagues can keep track of kids, and we just make sure that everybody stays safe out there, because that's what it's about. We should not be ever putting kids' health at risk for the sake of winning a little game like this. So, yeah, I'm sure you've got other questions, but hopefully this was a good start to get you started on scoring games in GameChanger. Have fun out there. Bye.